Ecclesiastes chapter 10 verse 1 through 11. Dead flies make the perfumer's ointment give off a stench. So little folly outweighs wisdom and honor. A wise man's heart inclines him to the right, but a fool's heart to the left. Even when the fool walks on the road, he lacks sense, and he says to everyone that he is a fool. If the anger of the ruler rises against you, do not leave your place, for calmness will lay great offenses to rest. There is an evil that I have seen under the sun, as it were an error proceeding from the ruler. Folly is set in many high places, and the rich sit in a low place. I have seen slaves on horses, and princes walking on the ground like slaves. He who digs a pit will fall into it, and a serpent will bite him who breaks through a wall. He who quarries stones is hurt by them, and he who splits logs is endangered by them. If the iron is blunt, and one does not sharpen the edge, he must use more strength, but wisdom helps one to succeed. If the serpent bites before it is charmed, there is no advantage to the charmer. Today's passage is a general warning the teacher gives about folly. The teacher notes that small acts of folly can cause trouble for the whole, and the way of the wise is completely different to the ways of the foolish. Since folly can cause trouble, if those in power are in the way of the folly, it causes problems for everyone. When society finds itself with foolish leaders, we see many abnormal interactions and lifestyles, as noted by the teacher. A general wisdom in such a situation is to remain silent and wait until the foolishness subsides. In general, the teacher has observed that the path of folly is full of trouble. Foolish people are prone to danger, and they are also prone to waste time and effort. Therefore, as the teacher has been claiming throughout the book, living in wisdom is far better than living in folly. The Bible often contrasts fools and the wise, and shows us that the ways of the wise is the path that leads to life. In the New Testament, we find a clearer definition of who are considered as fools and who are considered to be wise. Matthew chapter 7 verse 24 through 27 says, "Everyone then who hears these words of mine and does them will be like a wise man who built his house on the rock. And the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, but it did not fall, because it had been founded on the rock. And everyone who hears these words of mine and does not do them will be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. And the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it." Jesus teaches us that the way of the foolish do not listen to his teachings and find that in the end all was vanity. The way of the wise, as Jesus teaches us, is a life rooted in God's word and living according to his will. May we find our lives rooted in his words and live a life that shows godly wisdom in our lives.